Greetings, fellow travelers, and welcome to This Week I'm Learning, the podcast where we find things interesting through the week, research them lightly, then present our hot take here on the airwaves. This is episode 58, recorded August 30th, 2021. Jeez, where did the month go? I'm your host, Brandon, just a little broken Vader, also known as Dracanis. Down below me, that direction, Colton Roper, also known as Zeker4761. Anyone? Funny 4761 joke?
We'll save it for later.
It's a long podcast.
I've got lots of jokes, but none about that.
Oh no!
The amount of dad jokes that Charlie will say over the next year.
I am going to say that some of these tonight are crippling.
Oh God!
I need a
Next
sign.
to me, the dad man himself, more daddier than I am. Colt.
I've got 3. You've only got 1. It's fine.
Yeah.
Daddy-o.
Yeah, I have more years of experience. Yes.
Bella's
Technically,
13?
no.
Okay. You got me beat by a year.
It's like man hours. You add them up.
Yeah.
Oh,
Simultaneous parenting, you know.
Single parent? Does that count?
Yeah, it does actually.
Yeah. There you go.
But only the last, 7
Year.
months of that. Yeah.
Yep. That's Charlie Stiffler, also known as Mjolnir. Down catty corner to him is Tim Rhind.
Ryan. No
Yay,
D.
got it.
There's no D.
Oh,
It's just
no
Ryan.
D. Rhine.
No,
Rhine.
There's a D.
No,
is there a D?
Is
It's a D.
it pronounced though?
Rind.
Okay,
Yeah,
it is
Rhine.
pronounced. I'm sorry.
Give him
Ah.
the D.
I thought it
Damn
was
it.
the river. Sorry.
Also known as Fake Farang. And then way over in the corner, which is unusual, but how it's been lately, Cody Stratman, also known as Psycho Nitrous. So yeah, this is going to be a normal podcast. Cody is going to teach us about a throwback to Jesus, I swear I can read. A throwback to a turn of the century catastrophe.
Or Castroff, if you will.
Yep,
Or
because it's spelled incorrectly.
catastrophe. Oh yeah, it is. It is.
It looks like an
definitely spelled
apostrophe.
incorrectly. Yeah.
Speaking of apostrophes, do you know how punctuation marks learn how to have sex?
Already.
No.
How so?
The Kama Sutra.
Ah, I love it.
Already.
All right, and so he
yeah.
doesn't have
I'm
the
sorry,
opportunity to
viewers,
say
watchers,
anything
listeners.
else. Colton's going to tell us that in large areas there
You guys having strokes?
okay that there are large areas
I'm
of
the
the
one who's
world
having trouble
where
today.
girls are icky, have cooties, and are not allowed in, and that's cut off on my screen, in the
treehouse.
treehouse. Yeah.
So is this because your girl got you the COVID?
I guess it could be related.
Okay. No girls allowed. Otherwise known as the male patriarchy. It's great.
Also known as the world. So.
Yep.
And Charlie is just going to tell about how there she blows. Whatever that means.
Yeah. Brandon, speaking to Leo and older hardware may rejoice.
It's a two-topic.
Yeah, two separate topics.
Yep.
So speaking to Leo, as in the astrological sign that just passed, because I know that because almost every member of my family is a Leo except for me and my wife.
I have a
And
feeling
one or
that
two of my daughters.
Leo, that it's more of an acronym
Yeah, I
for
know.
low Earth
I know.
orbit.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yep.
Or astrology. They're the same thing. They're equal in the sciences, guys.
Oh God, please no, please don't do that. Don't be that guy.
But speaking of that guy,
Astrological sign, baby.
we have Tim.
Anyways.
And Tim is going to be our sparkling color commentary this week, which is
I see.
totally
I'm
okay.
just such a nice guy. I knew that you had 2 topics. You see, and no, that's not true.
I appreciate that
4
because
4 hours sleep on is
Should have doubled down. No one. We would have believed it. Like, yeah, sounds about right.
Hey, it works. Yeah, just go with it.
Hey, Brandon. Brandon, how does Captain Picard
Yeah,
ask
quick
for
squawk.
a cheese dip? Make it queso.
Oh, I don't know that I made this drink strong enough for the shit that's coming out of your mouth, sir.
I wish
right, I'll
that
stop
this
for a
bottle
while, I
was
promise.
just vodka now,
Right? That should
or
be
maybe
more
Everclear.
rum.
Oh, yeah.
But why is
All
all
right.
the
the
rum
rum.
gone?
Where's all the rum gone?
I'll stop for a little bit.
Please do. Okay, Cody, tell us about a throwback to a turn of the century catastrophe.
So I was almost like Tim this week, and luckily I had a road trip, so I was listening to an audiobook during the trip, and the audiobook is actually it's fascinating. It's something that my mom has been trying to get me to read for a long time. It's called The Sovereign Individual, and it's a book written in the late 90s. I think it's 1999, I'm assuming, by just what they're talking about. And they're
Tim and I
talking
are
about
having the same reflexive.
Yeah, you're thinking
Well-
about the same type of people. Yeah.
it,
Hope it's not the same.
okay.
It is.
This does not strike me as like the sovereign citizen people that are calling their cars vessels.
And I'm not
it-
driving. I'm traveling.
Yeah,
Those
no,
people?
I don't,
The laws
I
don't
don't
apply to
think
me.
this is talking about that. But it is, it does discuss like the potential collapse of the nation state based off of like 500 years of history and microprocessing, and basically how stuff like Singapore is thriving. It's fascinating. But as part of that is a lead into it, they're talking about 1999 and what was on everybody's mind in 1999.
Y2K.
Y2K. Jinx,
Exactly.
you owe me a Coke.
Come get it.
Okay.
It's
even
heavily
rum.
laden with yeah.
Not nearly laden enough.
But so I figured I might as well talk about that because I have nothing else to talk about this week. I was going through my news feed and it's like, oh, that's just political nonsense. That's nothing. That's all about the iPhone may or may not having something Brandon might talk about. Yeah. It was basically a crapshoot this week for stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
My
Y2
experience
I
with
found
these
topic.
people who call themselves sovereignists, go. I mean, a lot of my coworkers had lots of different experiences, but mine was I got a guy driving, scoping out prostitutes, and that was fine. No big deal. But we do check on them because they tend to go missing, and we like to know who the customers are. But then he started scoping out little kids, and they did a couple infractions. So I went to stop him, and of course he doesn't want to identify himself or present a driver's license because he's a sovereignist and he doesn't have to, and all this stuff. And he subsequently got arrested for not identifying himself. But that was my one experience. So that's when you said that topic, that's what my initial knee-jerk reaction is.
Yeah.
These
No.
people who don't
I
they
have
don't
quite a
think
few
they belong
experiences
until
like
they need your help. They don't not knowing the rules apply to them
I
until they need your help.
recommend reading the book rather than having a knee jerk reaction. Like I understand your experience to having to deal with some of these people, but I recommend actually reading the book. Anyway, that is not my topic. Y2K is my topic. So anyway, they started talking about the lead up to Y2K, and what I found fascinating is, can anybody tell me why Y2K started to be an issue? Brandon, go.
Okay, fine. Go ahead.
So it's a
He had his
very
hand up.
old
You didn't
bit.
have your hand up.
Haha.
He does.
It's a very old, archaic bit of code from back in the Unix days that just got passed over and passed over and passed over and passed over. And they weren't sure that it was going to roll over to 2000. They were worried it was going to roll back to 1900, and that then anything that relied on date or timestamps would not work until it was patched. So they were
crash or whatever.
yeah, they were worried about things like okay, you're not going to be able to run bank transactions. You're not going to be able to
Yep.
take inventory of goods received. You're not going to do
Yep.
any sort of money
Transactional
transactions or yeah, I already said money, but
Yeah,
they were
money,
also worried
phone.
about
Money.
aircraft that were new enough timing themselves out for maintenance because hundreds of years have passed since the last maintenance.
Yep. Or nuclear plants having certain issues to deal with that. Also,
Missile silos.
arsenals. Yeah, all sorts of stuff. Well,
I
so
remember-
you've got partial credit. So the other reason why they did 2-digit dating rather than 4-digit dating is memory is not the cheap thing that it is right now. Well, right now, we're dealing with
Being
yeah.
relative. you know.
I mean, still price per megabyte.
Yeah, I've got a 32 gig thumb drive right here that cost me $11.
I have you beat.
Yeah, I bet you do, but this is fucking cheap.
128 gigs.
I'm only sad that
or
my
no,
backpack
no.
is over there because I have one micro SD.
Okay, who's this? It's just a who is bigger conversation.
256.
No, it's
256
who's smaller
gigs.
but bigger at the same time.
Yeah. So 256 gigs, and it was $32 at Micro Center.
Okay, you win for the most memory, but not for the smallest.
I can get you probably a 3 terabyte one over here, but it's just not going to really be 3 terabytes.
yeah,
Just don't actually try and write 3 terabytes on it. Like stop at 32 gigs, and it'll be happy. It'll be fine.
it depends on where you get it from. But the cost of memory was so expensive that it made sense to actually conserve memory space by doing 2-digit dating rather than 4-digit dating. So this kind of got passed along until we started realizing, like in the 90s, oh shit, this might be a problem.
That
And
seems
what
to be
was
a very
interesting-
human thing to do. We're like, we'll deal with it later. Oh, fuck. Now it will destroy everything if we don't deal with it like right now. I sure hope this solution works.
Hey,
Well-
now is later.
I mean, part of that is you just don't. It's not in your mindset to consider it until humans don't think on that scale, and that's not a. That's just a how we think. That's not a like you're a bad person for not thinking that way.
But it's causing a lot of
I
issues.
mean-
Is what I'm saying.
We could have a similar issue. What is it, like 7,000 some odd years from now, when everybody's like, no, we need to have 5-digit date codes now.
Yeah, that I think actually might be a bigger issue if we're still using the same software, which, judging by what we're doing now,
going
it will
now.
be an issue. Yeah, that's why you
AI
have all
will be
these
designing the software.
yeah. Oh God.
Hey, maybe
So-
that's how the robot war is avoided. Is after a couple, you know,
They all
100
shut
years,
down?
they're just not able to patch themselves out of the 4-digit date code, and then humanity can rise again.
So
But
what's
the
funny
mark
is
of
actually
a true AI is the one that can write its own program. Everything else is just a program. A true AI can write its own code.
but will it? Well, it might.
That's
Maybe it
better question.
can. But it might
Cody, what
not
is your
want
actual
to.
subject then? So we discussed 2000.
So yeah,
Where are you
so
heading?
2000 was the what was the problem. Now we rectified that in several different ways. So we changed it to a 4-digit date code where applicable. We also did this weird thing where we basically took the month and day field and we did a 3-digit year field rather than a 2-digit year field. So we took the 6 digits, which was day, month, year, and we changed it so it was day then year. So 365, and then we had the year of three-digit years.
Oh, so
That
could
way
still be
we
a
didn't
problem.
have to. Yeah. So now in what is it?
Not ours.
In a few hundred years, that's actually still going to be an issue. So
No, it's not.
well, hopefully we're
it's
past then.
Yeah.
There was also converting to binary and storing the date in binary in order to fix that. Or there was doing nothing and see what happened. And there were several countries that actually got by, and you might be surprised by some of them, like South Korea. Did mostly nothing and then just patched things later. Singapore, they had some issues with taxis in Singapore. But most people don't really...
Life-threatening.
Yeah, most people remember all of the lead up to it, but not actually, what happened or after. And it turns out that there was definitely a lot of patches, but the United States in particular spent a ton of money on the lead up to it. And there's no real way to say whether that was the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. I would say it's probably the right thing to do since we didn't have
It was a
as
flaw in the
many
code.
issues
It needed to be
afterwards.
fixed.
Yep. I would agree with that.
I was with my amateur radio group. We were in all the police stations, ambulance stations, and fire halls on that night as backup communications,
Wow.
just in case. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was watching a
was,
Star Trek Voyager marathon. And the episode was a throwback to when Catherine Janeway's ancestor had to deal with it.
Oh.
That was it.
And there was a TV show called Millennium too. That
Yeah,
was
I
big
love that
just
show.
until that happened. It was good.
Yep.
Yep.
I love that show.
Yeah,
A lot of
I
dead
was watching the clock on my Cyrix 90 megahertz processor computer, going, is it gonna? It did it!
I was at a party, so
Nerd.
you were like
What?
super young. You were
I
like the
remember-
only 8-year-old at that party.
Parents Club.
At midnight. Oh my god.
it was a big old neighborhood party that we have every year. And I remember everyone was talking about how everything was going to end, potentially, or they were too drunk to care. It was a fun night.
Well,
was very cold.
Here's something funny for the religious folks in the group, is that when
Oh yeah.
when Jesus was born was actually not the date that is recorded as 0. It actually was 4 BC. So a lot of like the end of the world stuff should have happened in basically 1996, 1997.
Yeah.
I'm offended.
So
Of course, my topic is actually kind of related in some ways, so it's kind of funny.
yeah. But that was pretty much what I found out, and interesting, and yeah, the solutions.
Cool.
Science!
If anyone has one of the little Y2K plushie, like, I remember they
The
were
Y2K
blue.
bugs. Yeah.
Yes. I have been scouring eBay for one, and when they pop up, they're either destroyed because an animal got a hold of them, or they're like over $100.
Turns out animals don't like Y2K.
No. Or if anyone has one of the original OEM stickers that says Y2K compliant,
Oh.
send it my
Like
way.
the Windows
Send it my way.
the Windows Vista compliant
That'd be
monitors.
good for somebody born in
Yep.
2000.
I
So you
would
guys know
love
that I
both
have
of those things.
You guys know that I have a Sikh sense of humor, right?
A sick sense of humor? Yeah.
No, a Sikh sense of humor. I shop
A
at
six?
Urban Outfitters.
Is that
Moving
racist?
right
Okay.
along.
Is that racist?
Anyway,
I
Colton.
don't know. Alrighty. So, again, it's actually kind of funny. Mine is semi-religious topic, so interesting. So, have you guys ever heard of a little area called Mount Athos?
Yeah.
Negative.
Nope.
Isn't it
Do they also
Turkey?
have Mount Aramis and Mount?
Ararat?
I'd be more
No,
interested
no,
in
what's
Mount
the-
Arrow.
what's
No, this is a real. This is legitimate spice. It's actually a mountain and a peninsula in northern Greece, and it is technically home to 20 different monasteries of the Orthodox Christian denomination. It is roughly 129 square miles, which is between the sizes of Denver, Colorado, and San Francisco, California. So, it's not huge, but it's not an insignificant area either. If you guys know those are pretty wide towns in some ways. In fact, it is the largest area in the world that practices what is known as Avaton. And that is just the church's fancy way of saying no girls allowed. The entire peninsula, women are not allowed on the peninsula.
Is that
so,
somewhere near
so
Lesbos?
you're saying
I don't think so. Well, maybe.
So-
Fuck.
so
It's
you're-
in northern Greece.
you're saying the entire peninsula is a
No girls.
sausage party.
Exactly.
Okay.
Just a bunch of monks looking at old scrolls.
Well, I'm
They're
sure they're doing
truly
other things,
enjoying
too.
themselves, I can tell. That's a monastery. This one has been around since the 10th century. So it's old as shit. Old as dirt.
Wow.
But
Wow.
pretty cool that it's still around, actually. So Mount Athos has been around and fully staffed since around 800 CE, and they take this no girls shit seriously. Even female animals are not allowed on the peninsula.
Oh,
So chicken
And
eggs, can't
it
have
is
chicken eggs, can't have milk.
Directly across the Aegean from the Isle of Lesbos.
There you go. Might be related. I don't know.
Wait a second. So basically, there's no animal breeding anywhere on that peninsula.
It is highly discouraged, yes. Girls are icky, even to the male animals of that particular area. It's
So they also
actually kind of
can't
funny.
have milk.
They could ship it in, to be fair.
How about
They just
eggs?
can't
Well,
get it. They just can't get it
yeah.
from the island themselves.
And no milk, no eggs. Yeah.
Yep.
good-
So
good fucking
if those old monks want to enjoy some cereal, they're kind of shit out of luck when they're reading those scrolls. So apparently they actually use the Byzantine calendar, which from
So
a
many
previous
things you
thing
could
I've done, if you guys remember, it's actually 13 days off from the correct date. So kind of a Y2K adjacent. They use they use the wrong date. So they also start the day when the sun goes down for reasons I am sure. They don't start when the sunrise. They start when the sun set. It's
Talking about
it's
dates.
an Orthodox thing. I know that for sure.
Well, I mean,
So
I-
do they work through the night then, or they still work through the day? It's just that they're
Well, apparently, I
on
mean,
the
And the
previous
day
day.
ends.
We're-
and
we're
they go
talking-
home.
We're talking. Well, they live here. There's thousands of monks who live here in these old ass monasteries.
Huh.
That apparently they do a lot of their work at night.
You said
Um,
doo-doo.
so
Nah.
You do.
so different days have different length. Oh no, I guess they wouldn't have. Yeah, they would have different lengths.
It's an interesting system in a modern world.
Hmm.
Now again, there's been
Speaking
an official no girls allowed rule since roughly the 11th century, but there has actually been one woman in history who was allowed on the monastery, and they consider the entire peninsula a monastery at this point. A medieval Serbian princess, who's the spouse of Dusan the Mighty, the most powerful Serbian leader in history, was able to take a boat to the island in the early 1300s, and probably because Dusan the Mighty was a bit of an asshole, and probably threw his weight behind his wife's desire to go to this sausage party of an island. But yeah, to this day, women and children are not
Dusan the
allowed.
mighty feminist, I guess.
Apparently, yeah. To this day, women and children are not allowed to visit anywhere on the entire island, and even men have an
children,
incredibly
too.
hard time.
Okay.
Yeah, children as well. It's not as funny though, so I kind of kept that at the end though. Yeah, so that is a modern place that apparently the EU has actually kind of prodded Greece and prodded this particular area, because this is actually what's called a self-governing state area. I can't remember exactly. It technically has its own laws, obviously. And I guess in like 1995, the EU kind of said, "Hey, you got to let women on the peninsula," and the old men were like, "No," and then they just kind of left it at that for now. So if you're a woman and want to go on that island, you're gonna have to make some human rights. I guess.
So the question is, do they stop you by force or just like what's the consequence if you're a chick and you want to go to this island?
Well, you can't get to this island anywhere but boat. So there's a few you could theoretically sneak on. I guess in history there have been women who have snuck onto the island. There's a photo from like 1906 of a woman who's just kind of hanging out with these monks. At least supposedly they think it's a woman, so it's a whole thing. I don't know, maybe. But yeah, it's the only way to get onto the peninsula is by boat. There's no modern infrastructure, no way to drive, no way to do anything. You just got to take a boat.
I clearly see a road behind you. Just saying.
But,
Yeah, but it may
it's
be
blocked
in
off by the
between.
actual mountain.
It
Okay.
Yeah,
could be from
there are
monastery to
roads, I mean-
monastery.
Yeah, I mean, there's 20
yeah,
different
okay,
monasteries on this island, so there's ways to get there, but there's no way to get there from the outside world
Gotcha.
except for by
gotcha.
boat, according to my limited research. So,
That's
So if they
Yeah,
need medical help, I guess they leave the island.
oh yeah, they have
Well, I
their
mean, I'm
own
sure there's
old style
paramedics
medicine.
come that are not women.
Or
Nope.
it's just God's will and they die.
Yeah, again, if
They
there's
pray harder.
I wonder
if
if they
there
have
is
COVID.
no female paramedics.
I bet
I
not.
think the COVID thing they're probably pretty good at because they're pretty good at keeping isolated. So they're probably okay. It's not a huge tourist destination because to even be allowed on the island, even as a man, you have to be approved by their government, and it's a whole freaking thing. You have to prove you're Orthodox. You have to prove you're going for the right reasons. It's an interesting system they have over there at Mount Athos.
They don't want people hanging on the old walls taking selfies.
Apparently not. And God forbid you have a vagina.
Yeah, God forbid.
Well, I mean, there's
Or-
similar
or an
stuff
animal.
here
That's
too.
fun.
Like there's similar like shrines or yeah. So I mean,
in
Yeah,
Orthodox, there's some I was gonna say sections of Orthodoxy that it's the same rules. It's just here they consider the entire peninsula a
yeah,
monastery.
the entire peninsula. That's kind of
It's
crazy.
just the biggest in the world where this happens.
The,
But yeah,
the
there's places all
female
over the
animal
world.
thing is probably
little
sadly
bit extreme, don't you
the
think?
most shocking to me. Yeah. Now it shouldn't be the most shocking, but it is.
it's-
That's kind of
I said
telling that it's
they take it pretty seriously. I guess there is an exception for like female cats to kind of control the rodent problem, but to get a female cat on the island, it's obviously a whole freaking thing. Yeah, it's weird. Don't milk a cat is what I'm saying. Unless they do. gotta get past that milk in the cereal somehow,
we
boys.
Be making Ben Stiller movie references. Here.
Do you know what the changing the subject slightly? When you brought
Thank God.
up the date thing here, one of my peeves of living over here is sometimes in your browser you got to put your location to get context sensitive searches, or in your Google search settings you got to put Thailand if you want context sensitive searches, because it doesn't help me to look for a restaurant somewhere else in Canada if I put Canada as my location or whatever. So you do these searches and then you keep on getting these really weird year dates. It drives me
2564?
crazy. Yeah,
I
like
just
this
gotta
year
learn
is actually
the Buddhist era
2564.
dates. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Nobody's
just a
surprised.
pet
Sorry,
peeve.
Tim.
Hey,
Nobody's surprised because I brought this up on a previous episode.
Oh, you did.
Everybody had looks of shock then.
But the good
when
news
I
is
described that.
the Enterprise E is in orbit. 2564. It's fine. We're good.
True.
Yep.
I didn't get the year.
Thailand's way in the future.
No. Yeah.
Yep.
2061.
No,
Pretty
not
sure.
Turn my
the
camera off.
E.
I've done everything I can.
But
Yeah,
I guess
it
we'll kind of
bugged me too.
change it up a little bit, and Charlie's going to tell us what the fuck he's talking about for the Archie Blows.
No. By the way, it's 2380 is when the E is commissioned. Speaking of calendars, Brandon, do you know why I wrapped yours in tinfoil? So
Why?
I foiled your plans.
That's dumb.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
That would be awesome to be like a superhero that just does that. You know, like the movie
foiled
Mystery
your
Men, where
plan.
they
I foiled your
yeah,
plans.
or like a
the
supervillain.
nicest supervillain in the world.
Yeah, it just foils everything.
So I said 2061. I meant 2063, and that's because the Enterprise E was in orbit because of the first contact.
Post World War III.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Duh.
Fair enough.
I mean, we still have what 42 years at this point to make that work. So come on.
Well, we need a nuclear war beforehand, so we.
I mean,
Clock's
we're
ticking.
close.
Clock's ticking.
We're close.
So did you know that
Need
that
somebody to
seems to
teach
be
us about
closer
warp drive.
now than Vietnam, the
Oh, yeah.
Vietnam War.
Well,
I've been seeing a lot of
Bowling
World
for
War I
Soup.
documentaries lately.
Bowling for Soup made a song in 2004 called 1984.
Yeah, I
And
saw that.
1985.
1985. And if they wrote that song today, it would be 2002. And now I want to slit my wrists.
There is a remake out there.
Yeah, there is.
2005.
The
It is very
update.
good, and
The
it
update.
is.
On an unrelated note, did you guys know that Justin Timberlake and I have something in common? So I wanted to name our potential son either Bruce Wayne, Bruce Lee, or Bruce Campbell Stiffler. She doesn't want to do that at all. Justin Timberlake was forbidden
Campbell,
from naming the child Batmo. Because then it would be Batmobile. Okay. All right, so...
Jessica Biel.
Yep, Jessica Biel. All right, so what is happening in Louisiana right now?
Floods.
Because
Hurricane.
of hurricanes.
Coronavirus.
All right, so
What isn't happening
hurricanes. The topic of why the hell are we naming hurricanes? And here's an interesting point: we don't. We don't name hurricanes. We name tropical storms, and
Turn
some
into
of them turn into hurricanes. So we name tropical storms. We don't name hurricanes. Hurricanes happen every year, and more recently, more and more. But it's possible and common and frequent to have more than one, up to three, tropical storms happening at once in the Western Hemisphere on the Atlantic Ocean. And so in order to keep the storms separated and be easily identifiable in shortwave communication via boats and planes and municipalities and weather forecasting and whatnot, they began naming the storms. In 1938, they were using the number system, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And coincidentally, in 1938, the earliest storm to have ever been named happened in January. And yeah, so that's weird. Did you know how they name the storms, though? They have...
So it's like...
It is alphabetical.
Yeah, and it's one... I think they use like male names one year, like it's odd years, then even years. I might have that misplaced. Yep.
So it's alternating. So in alternating years, all of the A names will be boy, girl. But in a column, it'll go boy, girl as well. So your odd letters would be girls in 2021, and your even letters would be boys. So it went... Well, actually,
because of 26.
Yeah, so
okay.
Anna, Bill, Claudette, Danny, Elsa, Fred, Grace, Henry, Ida. The next one will be Julian, Kate, Larry, Mindy, Nicholas, Odette.
Aren't they already named? There's like 3 of them past Ida right now, isn't there?
Yep. Peter, Rose, Sam, Teresa, Victor, and Wanda. Those are just the names planned for this year. And that is the first list. We occasionally have to go to the alternate list. And the alternate list for the next supplemental will be Adria, Braylon, Caridad, Deshaun, Emery, Foster, Gemma, Heath, Isla, Jacobus, Kenzie, Lucio, Michaela, Nolan, Orlando, Pax,
decides on these
Ronan,
names?
Sophie, Tayshawn, Viviana, and Will.
Ronan.
What's
We
interesting
get to Ronan.
is
a lottery.
if the storm is not like significantly destructive, they have the ability to reuse the names. But if they are particularly destructive or create a significant loss of life, they will actually retire the names. And they started retiring
Like
names in
Andrew.
1979.
Andrew, yeah.
David was the first retired storm. So 1992, you have Andrew, in
Obviously,
let's see.
Katrina and all those.
Katrina was 2005. Also that year was
Sandy.
Rita, Stan, and Wilma. Wilma actually is the second strongest recorded hurricane of all time, and it turned south in the middle of the Caribbean and hit the Yucatan full speed. Significant loss of life there.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
There was Ike, Sandy. Now, Sandy's important because it's technically not a hurricane. It went from tropical
Because it's
depression
too far
to
north.
superstorm, which, because it didn't have circular motion, it more of just moved as a wall. That storm surge was huge.
And I think we
2014?
need, since we're talking about hurricanes too, we need to talk about the fact that where hurricanes are versus typhoons versus
Cyclones.
yeah.
Cyclones.
So
Yep.
you have the difference of northern and southern hemispheres and eastern and western hemispheres. So in the Atlantic, we do not have typical formations of hurricanes in the southern Atlantic. They are a west coast of Africa towards the United States typical. It is entirely possible to have hurricanes that go south. They just don't happen that often. There's currently a cyclone making its way through Mexico, coming up through Arizona in the next couple days.
Yep, that's going to hit us pretty hard.
Record rainfall expected in the mountains in Colorado. So I know you're going to float away. So get your dinghies out and get your little arm floaties on. That'll be fun. But finishing my list, Harvey in 2017 was retired. Irma, Maria, and Nate were all retired. Florence and Michael for 2018. Dorian for 2019. 2020 we had Laura, Etta, and Iota that were all retired. I'm expecting,
Remember that one.
as I think all of you are, Ida is going to get retired. Probably.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Strong Category 4 making landfall. It is now a tropical depression. It was only 1 mile an hour short of sustained winds from becoming named a Category 5. And they are correct when they said it is the strongest storm to hit the Louisiana and Alabama coast in the last 100 years. The difference being, and the reason why there's not a significant loss of life right now, is the post-Katrina repair work was done excellently.
Of the levees, right?
Of the levees, of the drainage systems, of the warning systems. Unfortunately, this actually popped up as a very strong storm only in the last couple days, like Friday. It really kicked up and was like, oh shit, this is going to be big. And a lot of the wards elected to not institute a mandatory evacuation because there wasn't enough time to get everybody out. So some of the wards definitely got people out. Some of the wards did not. There are several wards that have hundreds of rescue calls going. There's actually a couple wards that have not called 911 yet, which is crazy. The Cajun Navy is a thing, thank goodness, and they have hundreds of boats and several helicopters orbiting the city and doing rescue work. And most of the flooding they've had is actually overtopping the levees. They have not had a single breach, knock on wood. That's what caused Katrina to be so catastrophic, is they had several decrepit levees that actually breached. So the worst thing that I've seen right now is a high transmission mainline electrical tower fell into the Mississippi River. Speaking of the Mississippi was flowing backwards for 36 hours.
Powerful.
Yeah, just a little
Big ass storm.
Just a little bit. So let me actually show you guys the rating system and how you define the rating system for category strength. So hurricane force, 75 miles an hour and greater, or 65 miles an hour or greater. You get up to about 110, you're category 2. Past 110, you're in category 3. Past 130, then we're breaching into category 4. And once you get past 154, you are in category 5. And if it's not hurricane-proof construction, it's just gone. So that's fun.
Does that scale apply to like typhoons and
Yes,
and cyclones?
It
Is it the same? Is it an
the
international standard?
Saffir-Simpson hurricane scale, and it is the same. Now, what's interesting is it is not the same as the Fujita scale. The enhanced Fujita scale is specifically for tornadoes.
Tornadoes.
And tornadoes' sustained winds can be upwards of 250 miles an hour, but
300. Yep.
the modified Fujita scale, or the enhanced, actually categorizes anything over 200 as an EF5, whereas the standard Fujita, it had to be over 240 to be a Category 5. So it's the only scale where we've actually lowered worst case scenario. This is the scale for deaths in relation to weather, and I'm realizing now that it's cutting off the bottom. So let me show off what I've got. So right over here, you have flood deaths. Okay, and the red line is 2020. The blue is the 10-year average, and the yellow is the 30-year average. So for flooding, we actually don't have that many deaths. Like, you'd think that number would be much higher, actually. The next one over is lightning, and this is specific to the United States, by the way. The next one is tornadoes, this one right here. And then hurricanes. Hurricanes do not kill nearly as many people as we think. Now, why is your 30-year average so high compared to the 10-year? Because it includes Katrina and Andrew, whereas the other scale does not. The next one over is heat. This is going to be fantastic, isn't it? It's not like the Earth is getting warmer or anything. It's fine. Yeah. The next one over is winter. I'm not thinking any of those people are actually in Alaska, by the way. I think those people are smart enough to be alive. Cold, in general, will be the next one over. And then wind and rip currents are the last two. So, in the big scheme of things, hurricanes do not kill that many people. They really don't. They killed 24 people in the United States last year. One reported death that I saw last for Ida, excuse me. And we'll see how far it goes, but I've got several friends that are currently deployed for disaster mobilization and treatment, DMAT, and hopefully they don't have to do a whole lot.
The good thing about hurricanes is that there is a lead up.
Yeah,
to them.
there is normally some sort of indication that they're coming, yes. The problem is you have the same problem you do with COVID, where, I can be fine, I don't need to leave, I'll be fine. And in case you're wondering, if a dolphin hits your house, do not go out and check on it. That's how the hurricane is trying to trick you to coming out and kill you. Okay? So if the dolphin hits your house, do not check on the dolphin. Okay?
Dolphin's probably dead anyway.
Yeah, probably.
It'll be interesting to look at like the Caribbean or some countries that don't have as good of infrastructure, see how they like their 30-year averages or anything like that versus ours.
Yeah.
Well, Philippines got hit by some big ones. Like 2 years ago, Philippines got hit by a huge one. Hong Kong has great infrastructure, but Hong Kong got hit by a big one. It was either last year or I think the year before, 2019, Hong Kong got hit by a big one. Or maybe it was 2018. God, time has no meaning now. So
it really doesn't.
Now, again, these aren't
You're living in the
hurricanes,
25th century anyways, Cody. It's fine.
super typhoons. True. Thailand's ahead of time. Yeah.
Well, that's the interesting part of all of these superstorms. They're on the rise, and it's just a straight fact. And people are moving to the cities in greater numbers, which means big cities are going to be bigger targets.
Yep.
Closer to
And
the
with
ocean.
levels,
So the records
increasing,
for
it
the
causes more
most
problems.
storms in a year, the top 10 are all in the 2000s or greater. The records for all the fewest storms in a year are all in the 70s and 60s. So, yeah, it's fine.
Cool.
We're definitely
great.
not doing anything to hurt the Earth. It's fine.
We're doing great.
I mean,
It's fine.
what is interesting, though, is the graph behind you is that the 30-year average for heat is higher than the...
Well, if you remember the heat waves that hit Chicago in the late 90s and the early 2000s,
it's not so much to the south. It's the areas that aren't prepared for it.
And it also might be the fact that our power grid is more stable now, too.
Right. So there's this phenomenon called the wet bulb syndrome, where the atmosphere is to the point where sweat is no longer evaporative cooling. It's so loaded with moisture that it cannot evaporate from your skin, and that is what hit Washington and Oregon this summer, and that's why we saw. Well, that's one reason why we saw so many fatalities from the heat up there. But the other reason is nothing has air conditioning up there because it's never hot. Yeah,
it's the same thing as Gunnison. Like, I hated Gunnison in the summer because of that. Because nobody has air conditioning in Gunnison until I finally
Florida
put a
does
box
not have
in
heaters.
Internet, Colorado.
Did you know that Florida doesn't have heaters? That's not shocking to me, but
it's the same reason why people in Chiang Mai, Thailand, die. Each winter when it hits 60 degrees here. It's like, wait, what? 60 degrees? That's not that low.
Right.
Oh, it's Thailand. People don't have heaters.
That's why the climate change thing isn't climate heating or anything like that. It's how these chaotic systems are going to change based on an influx of heat. It's why all that shit happened in Texas this last year when everyone froze to death, partly because of the electrical grid, partly because it was cold as balls. If that were to happen in Arizona, same fucking thing. A lot of people would die. Yeah. But we have heat waves every year, but we're also built for it.
Right. All right. So speaking to Leo and other older hardware may rejoice.
Yeah.
Yay.
Okay.
Rejoice.
So,
but no
back
girls.
No, the girls are allowed. Girls are absolutely allowed.
Well, that's good.
They're just not allowed there
on that little peninsula.
Colton.
Yeah. So back in 2019, Bloomberg reported Apple's investigations into using satellite technology in iPhones for data connectivity. So, renowned Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo,
God bless you.
Yeah, I probably terribly pronounced that. I apologize.
Yep.
Friend of the show.
Yeah, my German mouth just can't make those sounds.
Why you gotta make it about race?
No, I was raised. No. So he says that the upcoming iPhone 13 will have the ability to use satellite connections to allow Apple services like iMessage and FaceTime to work nearly anywhere in the world. This is made possible by use of a customized version of Qualcomm's X60 baseband modem. Well, I personally feel like this should be taken with a grain of salt. Many others outlets are taking it as fact because of this gentleman's track record. There's no idea yet if this will only be available in like a top model or if it's across the iPhone 13s that come out. And there's also no information on pricing. Will this just be part of the package of owning an iPhone? Or will there be an additional subscription on top or pay as you go? The main part that I take away from this is the fact that it may soon be possible to squeeze satellite communications to our handsets without adding a ton of bulk. The last time I used a satellite phone was when I worked EMS here in Gunnison. This would have been 14 years ago.
2007, 2006. Yeah, 2006. Yep.
It was the size of a brick, could only send texts and make short, because of battery life, calls. The Surface was also crazy expensive. But yeah. This was 14 years ago. Jesus.
Yeah, I used one
14
back
years ago.
in 1998. And
okay.
Yeah. And it was just for like 2 minutes because it was like some crazy amount of money per minute to use.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I made one call in on that phone. One.
Yeah. I only got to use it to like turn it on, check for signal, and that was it. I didn't even get to call on it because at that point it was rendered moot for other reasons. Anyway, so soon we may have it baked into our standard cell phones with cell towers simply providing the fastest connection. So much for ducking into the wood for a few days to avoid work emails.
Well, with the satellite systems by Elon Musk, there, I almost wonder if you really need it. They could probably
Yeah,
build it
well,
into
I
that
mean,
easy,
that's the thing.
Well,
Is
then
if,
again, that you need special receivers for that, so that's
Yeah,
For
and
now.
it's
big
still
size.
like
yeah,
For now.
the
Yeah, yeah.
upload is still going to be an issue on like handheld devices. Just because you can get data quickly does not necessarily mean you can send data quickly. So
But we're
if you are a
talking voice
content creator,
with the yeah.
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 And then as far as the second part, the older hardware may rejoice. I just have a quick addendum to my Windows 11 topic a few weeks back. It looks like Microsoft will allow older unsupported equipment to run Windows 11, but the bar to install it will be just a bit higher than on supported hardware. Supported hardware will prompt users to install it as an update to their computer, much like, but presumably easier, the shift from to Windows 10 from 8.1 or 7 a couple years back. For those of us running older or unsupported hardware, we'll have to go back to the old way of doing things and use an ISO to either create a DVD or USB thumb drive. I'll be testing this in the next few weeks with my main desktop that I'm recording this on. Once I get a backup recording rig in place and tested,
Yeah, I was going to say.
because just in case Windows 11 makes this PC too unstable for streaming or podcasting, because there will not be another instance of me trying to record off my laptop and losing most of my audio. That was bad enough just the one time. That was enough.
No, we're gonna make it a thing. Every discussion episode, Brandon's gonna record from his laptop.
Yeah, so I just can't ever contribute to the conversation or understand what's going on.
He'll be like the old person with Alzheimer's in the room.
What?
What happened?
What do you say?
What are you
Well,
talking
what about
Mario?
this? Grandpa, we just talked about that 5 minutes ago. Well, I didn't hear it. I want to be part of the conversation. Yeah, so being able to install Windows on otherwise unsupported hardware, that's how it's supposed to be, honestly. Yeah, make it just a little bit harder so that it's tinkers and enthusiasts with equipment that's on the cusp. We're more equipped to handle the occasional snag. It's just my 2 cents, though. And since we do actually have a few minutes, I have a little third topic that is more of a discussion.
You see, I knew this.
Oh, okay.
I'm having issues. I have
No argument
He
here.
says that with his wrist cast, yeah.
yes. I have owned this phone now. For those of you listening, I'm holding up my Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus. I have now owned this over 2 years.
Oh no.
It is the longest I have
Uh-oh.
ever used a phone.
Yeah, I can attest to that. Yes.
Yeah. I like it.
I'm usually 3 years.
Huh?
I'm usually a 3-year person.
3 years?
Yeah.
Is that the 10?
It's a 12
12.
Pro
Okay.
Max.
Okay.
It's calling you,
Yep.
Brandon.
Apple.
It's calling you.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
It might be
it's
calling
really not.
him, but it's
Only
an
because
annoying
you
screechy
sent it.
sound.
Yeah.
It's like, when you're in high school and your mom's telling you to wake up to go to school.
It's
Yeah,
calling you,
exactly.
Brandon. It's calling you. I'm telling you.
I will not own. Oh,
It's calling you, Brandon.
Literally.
fuck you, Charlie. I will not own another Apple product. I
Liar.
have too much invested. No. I will not own another Apple mobile device
Liar.
unless Android just totally goes away.
Yeah, and I don't see that happening.
I have far too much money invested into the Android app store to go back. And you're right. There is one exception to an Apple device, only because of flight school. Because everything
love
is
to have a
set
mini.
up for iPad. You can do it on an Android, but it's harder, and I don't want to be fighting the system. So you're right. I probably will eventually own an iPad.
I would love
For
to own
flight
an
school.
Apple Mini. An Mac Mini.
You'd
Yeah,
love
I
to
have
own a
no
what?
desire to own any
mini.
Apple product ever.
Because I like editing
Okay.
on Final Cut Pro.
I would own a Mini. I would own one of the M1 Max. They interest me. I hate their phones. I just don't like them. They're closed garden. And
Yep.
yeah, especially when other phone manufacturers are doing some crazy innovations with folding phones. I
So
have
is that
no
going to be
interest.
your? So is that the discussion? Is what phone you should get next?
It's between two.
Okay.
Surface Duo 2, because Microsoft.
Yep.
Boy.
Samsung Fold 3.
That
so
one. That's the one you want.
What?
I
it's got an
no
IP
money when I
rating.
was in your situation.
I know. That okay.
It has an IP rating.
I was focused solely on the Duo until I saw Jerry Rig Everything today. It came
You're not
up in
gonna
my
like
feed.
the Duo, just like you didn't like the first one. You're not gonna like the Duo. It's the same thing.
He wants
And it's
to.
not gonna be
He loves Microsoft so much. It's
But
like
it's not
for
gonna-
me, if
it's
Razer
Microsoft.
came out with
Okay.
the Razer Phone 3, I would be hard pressed to not get it.
They're gonna support
Okay,
it for a
so-
year, and then it's gonna go away. Just
Here's reasons in my head to still consider the Duo. It is better for straight multitasking. It has two distinct screens. When you open an app, it starts on one screen, still showing your home screen on the other screen, so that you can immediately launch another app and have two separate multitasks going on. You can multitask on the Fold 3, but it's more kludgy. It is not that like dedicated experience. There may eventually be software that fixes that. Kludgy?
Yeah, I've never heard that word before.
Really?
Nope, that's a new one.
Same.
That's new vocabulary
Windows
for today.
Central shit.
Yeah, probably. I do listen to Windows Central a lot. Yeah, so having two physical screens, there's a benefit innately to multitasking there. It's easier to multitask. But the other thing is both of those there's not a folding mechanism in the screen material itself. It's Gorilla Glass screens. So there's more durability there.
But no
But-
IP rating.
No, we don't know. It's not the Duo 2 is not been officially released. We don't know.
Okay.
There might be an IP rating.
Okay.
So they're both running the same system on chip. They're both running the Snapdragon 888. I believe the Fold has more RAM than the Duo.
Okay.
Of course, Samsung, so the cameras are going to be better than on the Duo, but I would imagine that the Duo is going to be up there camera spec-wise. I mean,
It's not
with
about
that
the specs. It's about the algorithm and
Software.
how they process.
Yeah,
That's all
that-
that matters in a cell phone.
if they
That's why
if they
iPhones are
brought
so good.
back if they brought back anyone from the Lumia team to tweak those cameras,
It's not Microsoft. It's not how they roll.
I know.
You know that's not how they roll.
Yeah.
Samsung.
Yeah, but here's the thing about
What's
Samsung.
the warranty
Here's
on
the
a folding
reason.
screen with Samsung though? 'Cause that always concerns me. New tech. You don't
Well,
risk
Yeah,
it
so,
for 2 years,
I mean,
for 3
Fold
years from now.
3.
Either
It's third generation.
Yeah, it's
either
third
way
generation.
I go, I'm not going through and getting the AT&T's warranty because it's fucking throwing money out. But if I went with the Surface, I would get direct from Microsoft the 2-year warranty on it, that basically means I could chuck it at a wall once a year and get a free replacement. Same thing with Samsung. Either one of those phones I'm going with, because of how much they cost, I will be getting that warranty plan. I don't know. There's something about the Duo that makes me still want it. There's something about that design language that I just prefer more.
Microsoft fan.
And also,
But
here's the other thing.
There's no
that,
preloaded bloat.
Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah.
what I was going to get to. Is Samsung
There is
and
so
fucking
much bloat.
Samsung's the worst.
Yeah,
So much
no,
fucking bloat on this phone.
I raise you this nonsense.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that is like my one. So the bloat on the Samsung Fold 3, the folding screen, even though it's the third generation, which usually by the third generation they have it kind of figured out. I mean, now you can actually use an S Pen on it, which is, so the S Pen and the water rating is what like made me go, huh?
Okay.
And look at it.
I already have a verdict for you.
Okay.
Microsoft
Wait. And that
Well, he
that
has
is
to
your
wait.
least. Yeah,
By
because you
definition,
don't.
he has to wait. One of them isn't even out yet.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying you have to wait. You have to wait because you want to make a decision today.
Yes, I do.
And
You want to spend money
yeah.
right now.
But you don't have all of the information in order to make the decision today. It sucks.
So
It's
But
here's
boring.
here's my
Fanboy.
yeah, no, you don't want
So
a
here's-
fruit phone.
Here's my one other issue with waiting. Right now on AT&T, to trade in this for the Fold 3, I will get $1,000 off
Whoa.
the Fold 3 because of my trade-in.
So now
Wow.
the Fold 3 is now a $700.
Wait. Will it mean that your Fold 3 is not unlocked? It means your Fold 3 is going to be
Probably.
locked to AT&T.
I mean,
All right,
if
I have a
go with the
reason
Duo,
for you
it's going
to
to
save
be
that money. You are coming to Thailand next year, right? Do you wish to
Yes.
pay $10 per day for your cell service to use AT&T in Thailand?
It comes with a dual SIM slot.
You
can
don't
just
have
get
a
one
backup
there.
phone?
yeah.
Or just
Yeah,
or
but
just
if
bring
it's
the
not
10.
if it's not unlocked, you will not be able to use that with a local SIM.
You'd have to do it with the Duo too. It doesn't matter.
You guys don't have
Hon-
any laws
so,
in the States that we
honestly,
we
Cody,
can't unlock
you
our
know what-
phones.
You know what will
By law.
probably happen when I travel to Thailand?
Only if they're paid off.
Okay.
When I travel to Thailand, I will probably bring this with me, which is unlocked.
Okay.
And I will just have
Yeah.
my whatever device
He's
I
not
have
getting
with
it.
me.
You can whisper in my ear all you want,
Wi-Fi.
Charlie.
Yeah.
You keep whispering
I
in
am
my ear.
not
I don't
doing
appreciate
Apple.
your Apple thoughts over here.
I was
I
saying
am-
Microsoft,
I'm not doing Apple.
and I was saying Microsoft, and
Okay.
if you build it, they will come. It's that eases pain, whispering in your ear.
Yeah, I just
I mean,
God,
you
I don't
obviously
know.
I
want the
think more apps are
Microsoft.
going to be made for Samsung than Microsoft, though.
Just get a worse product.
Yeah,
I
but
think
it's the
Samsung will
same.
get more
That
app
weird
support.
with that weird bump that makes it so it doesn't go flat, which was one of the few
Yeah,
things
that
the
is
Duo
ki-
1 had, was they had a full flat experience and they got rid of it. So
yeah, but I
Now what?
mean the Fold has a gap in
that's
the
what I'm
Okay,
saying.
you gotta-
So there's no advantage.
Yeah, so you got to write out a list of things that each one has. Like the more that I read about the phone that I just ordered, the Xperia 1, the more I like it. Did you know it has a notification? Actually, you told me. It has a notification light. I've been missing that notification light. I love those.
The one feature that phone has that I most want back on phones is the dedicated fucking shutter button. The tap this button, it immediately launches the photo app and immediately lets you start taking pictures. Rather than, oh, let me
Yeah, same
let
with
me
this
double
one.
tap my screen, then slide
Notification
up,
light.
then go over, then
I can
take
configure
picture.
the buttons on my iPhone to do the same damn thing. I can just say, I don't
It's
need
true,
the volume down to ever do anything else, and it'll do that.
Yeah,
I have
same with
gestures on this particular phone that's specific to OnePlus, so I can make a W, and all of a sudden I'm taking a picture.
Yeah, I mean, you.
But
I
W takes
could
longer.
I could reprogram the buttons on this too,
Yeah, but there's
but
less
I
buttons.
like having
more buttons.
volume buttons and a
Yep.
power button.
Yep. It's the same
I would
reason
prefer
why.
to have an additional button.
Yeah, it's
That
the same
then I
reason
could
I prefer
program
a
for Google Assistant or whatever.
K95 Corsair K95 keyboard to a K70 because the K95 has macro keys. The K70 does not have macro keys. More buttons
Right
are
here.
better than less
More
buttons.
More
I mean,
buttons are
I know
always
that
better.
the Apple people in the group won't appreciate that because they always want to have less buttons and less ports. But
Less holes.
Yeah.
Higher IP rating. I've had a higher IP rating for you guys than you guys for years.
Yep.
you have
Fair point.
IP68, which is what my new phone will have an IP68, and yet has micro SD, has a headphone jack, and has the dedicated shutter button. So
But it does
All
not
of those
have.
things I care nothing about. We live
If-
in a
if
blue
it-
world,
everybody.
anyways.
yeah.
Something for everybody.
So Brandon, I think honestly, like, okay, Charlie says get the Microsoft. I say wait because you need to know whether or not you're
I
going
don't
to get the
actually say.
Microsoft.
I'm just predicting it because we all know Brandon well enough to know that he can't fucking possibly say no to a Microsoft product.
I mean, he does have a No, he did. He did though. To say the track
did.
record,
He
I
bought
did
it.
the Duo.
One.
He bought it,
Yeah.
held it,
And
then
returned
returned
it.
it. Okay, that doesn't mean he won't buy it still. He's definitely going to buy the next one. And he might return it in a week, but he's definitely going to buy it. There's nothing that anyone can do or say to stop that. He is definitely going to buy that.
I don't know.
Bet.
I have nothing to add because I
Okay.
kind of agree.
I'm not betting
Okay, fine. Then you agree with me.
because I can't guarantee that I won't.
Yeah, this is less of a
I
discussion
think the
of
deciding thing for you was going to be
which
the money.
one.
This is your intervention,
Yeah.
and we're here because we love you.
And we also
This
know it
is
doesn't
more
matter.
of a discussion of how long it will take for him to get the Microsoft one.
I give it 72 hours after release. And he'll have it pre-ordered
God, you
before
think-
that.
It depends if he's off those days or not. If he's off, even
He'll
sooner.
have it
Oh
pre-ordered.
no, he'll do it at work. Yeah, he'll do it
yeah.
at work.
It's tech related. I can get away with murder if
Yeah.
it's tech related. I love
Yeah.
my job. I love my workplace.
Speaking
We're
of
not
my
doing a
job
job.
and how much
You're
I
very
love
lucky.
it, I kind of need to go to bed so I can,
Very
like,
lucky.
I don't know, go to that thing.
Oh, fine. I guess if that's how you're
Yeah.
gonna be.
I am going to be like that. Just like you're going to buy the
Well-
Microsoft thing.
I don't know. That Fold 3, like, when it's open and it's just all of that real estate.
A contiguous screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
like,
here's the thing about bloat is you
Really good for your
can
porn.
you. That's all it ever comes down to. You can get rid of the bloat. It sucks and it's extra work.
yeah.
Like that. But you still have it there.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Well, Colton, where can we find you?
Name's Colton Roper. You can find me trying to stream on Tuesdays and a couple other days during the week under Seeker4761.
The number of
As well
times
as,
that I'm going to make everyone in this group wish for a swift and painless death.
To your chest.
Excellent.
Not lying, unfortunately.
Excellent. Tim, where can we find you?
On YouTube at Our Thai Journey, as it shows below my screen. And on Instagram is the same. And I've got the COVID blues, so I haven't really been doing anything for a while, but Oh well, we'll see when they, because now they're releasing, they're opening up come the 1st of September, and hopefully I get energetic again. That's it. That's where I am.
Sounds good.
And sorry, I don't have my OneNote in
You're
front
fine.
of me right now.
Cody.
I don't know who to pass on to.
Anybody?
I'm Cody Stratman, also known as Striving to Fail, also known as Zito Valder, also known as Psychonitrous. Piece together the application, social media, or whatever that goes to each one. It'll be a fun scavenger hunt for you. Yep, that's
Sure,
me.
fun.
Yeah. Anyway, so Milner. Where can
I
we
am
find you?
Charlie Stiffler, also known as Milner, spelled wrong, so I always get it right. I'm also the artist formerly known as Kanye West. His new name is Yee, by the way, if you didn't know that. That's something you now know and can't possibly forget, so fuck you guys. You can find
So
me on
Yee?
Yee, Y-E. That's his whole name now.
Wait, did he really change his name?
Yes. Yeah, so now his
Okay.
now his daughter's name is
He's
just
asking
fuck.
for help.
North.
He's asking for help.
Nothing,
That's what
yeah,
he's
yeah.
doing.
You can also find me on Twitch, streaming occasionally. It's been a minute. It's been a really tough summer. And then YouTube, Milnor, Facebook, Steam, Epic Games, because I like taking AAA games for free from them and doing absolutely nothing else. Brandon, take us home.
Yeah.
I am Brandon Vader, also known as Dracanis. You can find me on the Tech Pirate when I eventually make a decision on what phone I'm going to buy. I don't know that I can wait for the Surface, to be honest.
Microsoft fanboy.
But
You keep
anyway,
whispering in my ear. You keep whispering in my ear, not his ear. You need to go the other direction for his ear.
I'm whispering at my camera or my microphone. I have to get closer to it to whisper.
whisper.
By the way, that's totally blown out. By the way, you're welcome.
Oh, I'm sure.
In the
My
red.
ears feel blown out. Thanks for that. And thank you all for joining us on this episode of This Week I'm Learning. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts, as well as on YouTube at This Week I'm Learning. For you social media peeps out there, you can find us on Twitter at ThisTWIL. If you'd like to contact us, you can of course send an email to twill@thetechpirate.net. See you all next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
not allowed in school zones with those faces, man.
It's okay.
What?
It's
You
the thing.
missed it. He was being full-on fucking pedo creeper down there.
Oh God.
Oh no.
I'm gonna have to rewatch this episode.